Melinda Barrett is seeking her fourth term as a Haverhill City Councilor. We're very pleased to have her with us today to be able to answer more questions on her candidacy. Thanks for being able to come in.
And thanks for having me, Frank. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and to anybody watching.
You know, anybody that knows anything about your biography, politically and personally and business-wise, knows that you have deep, deep roots in the city, generationally from with all the people you're related to, but the business that your family had established over decades.
Yeah, I stand on the shoulders of my grandparents, my parents, to know a lot about downtown and business in Haverhill.
You know, that having said that, and with what you've seen, with what you've experienced, and you see where Haverhill has been through the transitional periods where it's been kind of tough, and where we are right now, which is in a good place, where should we be going, or what should we be aware of as we progress, based upon your experience and observations?
Well, I think the goal is an 18-hour economy. Right now, with the development of residential units that have been all the rage in the downtown area the last 10 to 15 years, which are good. It fills a need. That you always hear that there's a need for housing in the city. It brings new people in. It houses people that are already here. But people that live in Haverhill, they don't all work in Haverhill. So a lot of those folks leave town, and they don't get back till 6, 7 o'clock at night. So that doesn't add much to the downtown economy, except for those 4 hours, in the evening, 7 to 10, 7 to 11. We need to develop a daytime economy, and I think back before urban renewal, we had a daytime economy downtown. There were doctors' offices and dentists, lawyers, bigger businesses rather than one-man shops, and that fed the gift stores, the clothing stores, the little shops that somebody might give a shot at trying. Without a daytime economy, we can't really support a store, a men's store, a women's store, or a gift store even, because it's just there's not enough bodies on the street.
That is a very, very interesting perspective, and I would hazard to say that I don't think I would have heard that from any other candidate running, because they do not have the historical perspective or experience that you have. In the same way, I recall in my younger days buying a suit at Barrett's, at your folks' store, and at the time there were other men's stores that were there called Garrow's was one, and there was McCartney's, and Garrow's had closed shop, and McCartney's was going out at that time as well. And I think in talking, I'm not sure which of your brothers I was having a conversation with, I said, well, that may be better for you because that means that there's less competition. And he said, no, it's just the opposite. And I said, how is it just the opposite if that store closes and you don't have that competition? Everybody comes to you. He says, no. He says, here's the problem. He says, when you have more than one store selling the same type of thing, people are drawn then to the area, so they'll go to one store, and if they go to McCartney's and they don't find what they're looking for there, they'll come to us.
Right.
But if McCartney's is not there to go to in the first place,
there's nobody to bounce off.
That's what he's talking about, bouncing off one to the other. And I did not readily conclude that, but somebody in the business, living on a day-to-day basis in retail, gets right down to the nitty-gritty and the minutia of that stuff, where they really know how much of a difference that makes, whereas an observer, a friendly, distant observer, would never conclude that.
You need bodies to, big companies won't come because the traffic count isn't high enough. So you have to rely on that mid-level, smaller business that's willing to give it a shot. And they need the bodies on the street, and they can't just rely on 4 hours a day or at night to have those bodies around. You need them around for a long span.
How do you want to change that?
Well,
how can you change that?
It's difficult because federal and state tax credits that a lot of these developers that are, converting old factory buildings to housing, the tax credits are there for housing, but they're not as readily available or as lucrative for a commercial endeavor. So if we put out an RFP, say, for where the parking deck garage is right now, you know, we have an opportunity there that's a lot of acreage to perhaps attract a business that wants to be in a downtown environment rather than a isolated campus someplace, you know, off 495 or 93, or up in New Hampshire even, that wants that whole experience that a downtown can bring. You know, place to go to lunch, nice walking area, see people, see trees, see urban areas. I think we have an opportunity with that RFP for the deck and just soliciting. I know there was a company interested a while back in opening downtown because they wanted that environment. I don't know that that worked out, but there are people out there that want that kind of environment for their employees.
It's not unheard of. I mean, if they can't apply for federal tax credits because it just doesn't fit, because the city of Haverhill has offered tax credits before on a limited basis
Right, we do
to other
that,
industries
tips
and
on-
industrial parks and
yeah.
things of that type.
And you know, we've done that in a limited capacity for a lot of different projects for the housing. So it's available. I'm sure, you know, it's a tool in the toolbox. We're not going to give everything away, but it's just a sweetener to dull the pain of converting or building.
I've got to ask you this question. In line with some of the things and conclusions that you've just shared with us, your observations, you are also the chairman of the Citizen Outreach Committee for the Haverhill City Council.
Yeah.
Tell me what that's like and what sort of feedback you get. Because it seems as though the Citizens Outreach Committee, tell us what that is.
Well, it's an opportunity. It's a relatively new subcommittee of the City Council. And a lot of times it takes the place of a place to put something that doesn't quite fit in public property or administration and finance. We've used it to explore the plastic bag ban originally. Citizens were interested in it. They came to the Citizen Outreach Committee. The council at the time did not take it up. It sent it to another committee. Mm-hmm. I think there was a lot of fear of that plastic bag ban.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it did go through, as it had gone through my committee, into administration and finance, and it was ultimately passed by the city council. But it's a way for people to just attend and just throw spaghetti on the wall and tell us what is their issue.
It's a direct conduit to the city council as far as feedback is concerned?
Yes, yep.
That's so. Can citizens knowing about this committee would basically they would call you, or
they'd call a counselor. Any counselor could put it on the agenda and say, you know, these folks want to discuss whatever it might be, curbside pickup, or
in order to get their concern out and about.
And to flesh it out. You know, when you come to city council, you don't always get to you might bring up a topic for discussion.
Yeah.
But we generally don't go diving deep into things. When we send it to a subcommittee, that's where we really do the real work of trying to figure out how we can improve something that's an issue, or how it may not work right now, but we could maybe do a test or things like that nature.
In less than a minute that we have left, if somebody...
Boy, that was quick.
It is, but
Yeah.
if somebody were to go ahead and go through the Citizens Outreach Committee, through any counselor, submit an idea or proposal, that proposal will then be submitted to a committee. What's the turnaround time before that would likely come about to be discussed in an open council meeting?
Depends what the item is. The plastic bag ban was very quick. I mean, it was 2 weeks. But some things I'm trying to work on something now that it might take longer just because it's a really encompassing issue.
Because of the nature of the
yeah.
issue? Makes sense. Okay.
You know, not every issue can be handled as readily as some.
To give it its due process.
Yeah.
That's good. Melinda Barrett, that'll have to be the last word, but we thank you for being able to come in.
Thank you,
To be able
Frank.
to talk
Appreciate
about
it.
a lot of these different issues. I know there's a host of other ones that are here, and we invite people to be able to Google you or connect with you based upon what we have on your website, and
Yep.
also your phone number for
Yep,
any
my-
additional information. And we wish you the best of luck in the upcoming
Thank
election.
you. Thank you very much, Frank.
Thanks
Appreciate
very
it.
much. You bet. We hope that this program has been a point of reference for you. And until next time, my name is Frank Novak, and thanks very much for watching. And remember to vote on Election Day, Tuesday, November 5th.